Hi, kids. Number 41. Greatest films of all time. The Battle of Algiers from 1966. It is directed by Gilo Pontecorvo. Gilo Pontecorvo, if you couldn't tell, Italian man. Uh, Gio was a Jewish Italian citizen. Um, his brother was a nuclear physicist. He was kind of following that same path. He was going to school, studying chemistry, and then there was a lot of anti Semitism at the time. He got involved in the anti fascist movement and eventually becomes a film director. So, this film is based on a book by Saudi Yassif. He was an Algerian. He was the leader of the National Liberation Front in Algeria. Wrote his book, a book about his experiences, uh, real wars. We'll get to that. Later on, he would become Algerian senator for quite a long time. Served in 2000, until 2021, when he died at the age of 93. He was also a consultant on this film. So, based on real events, what were Battle of Algiers, Algerian War? Let's go into a history lesson, somewhat brief. So, Algeria is a North African country. It borders Tunisia and Morocco. Um, Colonialism. It was a part of France. I think it became a part of France around the Napoleonic Wars. Um, but it wasn't ever really a French colony. It was sort of incorporated into France. So it was part of France quite a long time. Eventually, people in Algeria, selected few in Algeria, were given French citizenship. So they were treated the exact same way as any other French citizen. Although the only people, basically, in Algeria that were given French citizenship were the French or the Jewish population of Algeria. Because the Jewish population had money that they can contribute to help fund the wars. So, Jewish population given French citizenship. The Muslim population of Algeria was not. Let's see where this is going. So, happens for quite some time. World War II happens. Post World War II, a lot of decolonialization is happening, right? People are taking their countries back. There is a French colony in China. France is battling to keep that. They lose that battle. They don't want to lose Algeria. But the Algerians are getting fed up with French occupation, especially the Muslim population. They want their country back. French, losing a lot, doesn't quite want to give it up. So there's a lot more to it than that. That's the basis of it. So, Algerian War, Algerian liberation. There is war crimes. There is a bunch of atrocities happening. Battle of Algiers is about that. So the Algerian War was from 1954 till 1962. That is notable because this film is released in 1966, so only 4 years after the war had concluded. Part of the reason was the president of France from 1959, so into this war, he becomes president, until 1969 was Charles de Gaulle. Charles de Gaulle was the general who led France through the Nazi occupation in World War II. So Charles de Gaulle, a very popular figure. He was retired, came out of retirement to become the president of France. Eventually, when France gives Algeria their country back, um, part of the reason that they could do that was because Charles de Gaulle was the president. So if he was sort of the figure that could do that and not really um, suffer the consequences as much as somebody else. There's a lot of politics into this, and this video would be way too long to get into if I really dived into it. Uh, so this film is done in, well, inspired by the neo-realism movement, talked about before. Neo-realism movement, sort of a European post-war movement. A look at sort of Europe after the war, different perspective, often filmed with non-actors, non-sets, things of that sort. This film is produced in sort of a fictional documentary type way, so it's presented as a documentary. It is based on real events. It is as true as to fact as the events. A number of the majority of the people in the films were either the people in the moment or actually in the war portraying other characters. So the events are real. It's something much like another film on this list, Close Up, sort of a pseudo documentary. Um, Anyways, so also the music for this film is done by Ennio Morricone, from the spaghetti westerns, from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So he does the score for this film. So this film comes out, it plays at Venice, um, and it wins the Golden Lion, which is the highest award you can get at the Venice Film Festival. This is Venice, though, so not the best reaction from the French. In fact, after its release, it was banned by the French government, I believe, for a year by the government, and then other parts of France banned it for up to 4 years. That's until 1970. Also in 2003, the Pentagon screened this for their troops for getting an idea of what they were dealing with in the Iraq war, sort of how to battle, how to combat um, the war effort there, what was going on. So it was dealt, even there was a warning put up for American audiences, none of the scenes in the film were actually newsreel footage. It seems that way. Very real. So, Battle of Algiers. It's on this list because BFI, Film Institute, Greatest Films of All Time, 2012, it was number 48 on the critics list, and it was number 26 on the director's list. And then in 2022, it was number 45 on the critics list and number 22 on the director's list. Some of those directors include people like George Miller, Max, and Babe too, and Steve McQueen, 12 Years a Slave. So that is the Battle of Algiers. That's your little history lesson. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in it, go look up Charles de Gaulle. Charles de Gaulle had a daughter who was born with Down syndrome. He loved her very deeply, of course. Unfortunately, she passed away, I think, at the age of 20. So there's so many interesting things playing into the Battle of Algiers. The video would be far, far too long if I got into all of them. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe.